Whatever you do, don't give up. This message has been communicated by thousands, if not millions, of people and writers and historians and philosophers throughout time. And I think it says a lot about who we are as humans. We have this innate tendency to want to give up and just go, oh, I can't be bothered with this anymore. Not even bothered. I'm suffering too much. This is too hard for me. This is too complex. That is why it is so wonderful to read about other people's triumph, other people's success in overcoming suffering, so that we too can think, oh, hang on a second, maybe if I don't give up, I'll get to this further place in the distance. I can do something, not just with my life, but with my psyche, with my being, with my creature-like energy. That was getting a bit Frankenstein there. But you can transcend your setting and your circumstance. Now, you might think that I'm going to, being the book nerd that I am, I'm going to recommend a book to read that can inspire you. But instead, I'm actually going to recommend a very short poem and the life of Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. This man, his house burnt down, his wife died, he got sick, terrible things this man had to endure. Incredibly intelligent. He did a beautiful translation of Dante's The Divine Comedy, so he was incredibly, ridiculously smart, and he contributed amazingly to the Victorian period writing, whether it was as a translator or as a poet, him in and of himself. However, there's this one poem he wrote that was, I think, just after the fire happened. And instead of wallowing in sadness, which I admit I have done plenty a time, instead of wallowing, he writes a poem about triumphing over evil. And he's actually suggesting that it's that act of overcoming that defines human life. So our life itself, it's not supposed to be some saga of, or some pastiche, Instagram pastiche of ease and peace and brilliance and beauty and truth. Of course, we want those things all the time. And if we can, that's brilliant. If we can bring that into breathing and life and truth every day, excellent. No problems, no complaints. However, this poem, the Psalm of Life, that we're about to read, is a perfect example of how life itself can be defined by humanity's brave and courageous desire to overcome hardship. You can even think of it like this: anytime you overcome something that's difficult, can be a range of different things. Maybe you've had to attend a funeral. Maybe you've had to go to an exam. Two very, very different types of hardship, and perhaps one a lot worse than the other. But they're still hard. Perhaps you've had to claw your way out of economic hardship. Perhaps you are in economic hardship. Perhaps you are so isolated and so alienated from joy and happiness itself, you have no idea how to navigate the world without severe grief plaguing you. If these things are facts of your life right now, I am eternally sorry, and I pray very much so that you shall transcend all that very briskly. However, I want us all to take solace in the fact that this brilliant man who came before us argues that life is made in these moments, these pinnacle moments of, oh my God, what am I going to do? Why I can't do this? This is too complex for me. Usually things that make us cry are things that are just too complex for our mortal being to comprehend or to process. And we've all had moments like that. Hard to incredibly hard. We've all had those moments of I can't go on. This poem argues that in those moments we must take not joy, but comfort in knowing that life is expecting you to overcome that difficulty. what the heart of the young man said to the psalmist. Tell me not in mournful numbers that life is but an empty dream, for the soul is dead that slumbers, and things are not what they seem. Life is real, life is earnest, and the grave is not its goal. Dust thou art, to dust returnest, was not spoken of the soul. Not enjoyment and not sorrow is our destined end or way, but to act that each tomorrow find us farther than today. Art is long, and time is fleeting, and our hearts, though stout and brave, still like muffled drums are beating funeral marches to the grave. In the world's broad field of battle, in the bivouac of life, be not like dumb, driven cattle, be a hero in the strife. Trust no future, however pleasant. Let the dead past bury its dead. Act. Act in the living present, heart within and God overhead. Lives of great men all remind us we can make our lives sublime, and departing leave behind us footprints on the sands of time. Footprints that perhaps another, sailing over life's solemn main, a forlorn and shipwrecked brother, seeing shall take heart again. Let us then be up and doing, with a heart for any fate, still achieving, still pursuing, learn to labour and to wait. That is an incredible response to your house burning down. So I think what we can learn from this poem, other than its beautiful use of rhyme and rhythm and all those technical aspects, is that life is not for wallowing in darkness, in shadows, in what has happened to us. Even though that is very difficult to do, I am not saying that what Wordsworth is proposing is an easy path. However, he did it. He overcome darkness, just as we can as well. And a lot of that, most of the time, is just saying, okay, I'm going to buckle myself up and push straight on through. No matter what it is, I'm just going to keep pummeling through. Very simple, but it's true. So, if you feel like giving up, have a quick research of Henry Wadsworth Longfellow's life. Have a reread of the poem I just recited. And remember that we must have a heart for any fate, still achieving, still pursuing, and we must learn to labour and to wait.